Hey guys, Chris here. Today I'm going to be doing a little comparison video on the WE Glock platform versus the Action Army AAP-01. I'm going to be going over my personal opinions of the guns, my personal experience with the guns, owning both of them, and I'm going to be talking about them and hopefully help give people that don't own them or people that are considering buying like a starter pistol or something like that some information, maybe some things you didn't know and a little bit of insight into them. So we'll get started and hopefully you enjoy the video. So, starting off with the WE Glock, this is a WE G19. I purchased it used in complete stock form, and I've actually done quite a few upgrades to it. But talking about it just now in its stock form initially, when I was first using it, and other Glocks that I've used as well in their stock form, they really don't shoot very well, and I'm talking specifically about the WE Glocks, the WE Tech Glocks. I don't know about like Umarex, other Glocks. I know the Raven Glocks aren't very good, they're just Nuke Pro Glocks, but they're supposed to be like really bad from what I've seen anyway. But the WE Glock is a pretty strong platform out the box, but its main sort of Achilles heel, from my experience at least, and from other things I've seen online, is the hop unit. Out of the box, and I'll try and show you this in a second as well. On one of my other Glocks I've got a 17 and a 19. When you apply hop with the hop wheel, it just doesn't apply enough pressure, and it just leads to you not being able to hop BBs very well at all, and you can't even over hop BBs, like even a 0.25 gram. I use 0.28s in mine, but I also use a maple leaf hop up unit, which I'll show you. 2 seconds. This is the hop unit here. It's got a 6.01 Type bore barrel. You can see here it's got a wider window for applying the hop as well. It uses what's called an I key, which applies better hop, a more even hop patch overall on top of the BB, which helps you shoot more accurate and give you better backspin, obviously. Excuse the dirtiness on it, that's just some of the lube that I use. Inside it's got a 50-degree maple leaf bucking, I think it is. That's the softest one that they do. You know, it's good to use a soft bucking to get as much friction as possible to really lift the BB up, which helps you know, get the BB down to the player, down to the target, whatever it is that you happen to be shooting at. So for the WE Glock, if you want to get one, I would definitely budget that in. I would really budget that in if you want one. If you're going to be shooting at people from like around like 10 to 15 meters or something like that, you probably won't really need it. But if you want to use it as like a sidearm, which I use it for, like I use it as a sidearm for my sniper and my M4 as well. But when you're sort of stuck and down, and then you need to rely on your pistol for if your primary goes down or something like that, you want something that can reach out a bit further, and you need the maple leaf hop unit to do that. It's just the way it is. From my experience, I've got a G19, I've got a G17, which you can see here too. This is like a Gen 3 Garter, a Gen 3 Garter lower. It's got like the Glock trades on it and stuff, which is pretty cool. And it's got a Psy Blue upper, a Psy Blue slide, so it's kind of like a Glock copy slide, but it's, you know, supposed to look like a Glock, but it's not really an original Glock. It's like one of these fancy dressed up Glocks with all the serrated bits on the slide and stuff like that. So I've got that. And I had the exact same issue in this, even though this is like supposed to be like an upgraded Glock. The Psy Blue is, the hop unit in it sucks as well. So I need to get a maple leaf hop unit for that too. But you know, overall, there's a lot of things you can do with your G19, your G17, your G34. That's one of the cool things about Glocks is you can get lots of different sizes. There's lots of different types. You can get carbine kits. You can get you can put a silencer on the end if you want. You can get thread adapters, which I've got there, so you can put things like loudiners or silencers and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot that you can do with your Glock. There's loads of parts. You know, you get fully automatic ones like the G18, or you can use like a semi-auto like the G19 that I've got. There's different uppers you can get, different slides, slides that have got bits cut out of them to reduce weight and stuff like that. You can stipple your grips. Like, there's so much stuff. Like, if you just look up like custom Glock, there's loads and loads of stuff online. Lots of internal upgrade parts like metal BBUs, blowback units for those of you that don't know and stuff. There's tons of stuff you can do. I've got like an extended slide release on mine here because the normal ones on the Glocks are like flat, so they're not as good. But they're a bit harder to catch, especially if you're wearing gloves. So you can see that there. So it's extended out, which is pretty useful. Sorry, wait for the camera to get focus again. But I really like my Glock now that I've done bits to it, but in standard form, it's just not quite there. So if you want a Glock, I wouldn't not recommend them, but I'd say be prepared to buy bits for them to get them shooting better, because they just, out of the box, they just aren't that great. Or if you want a Glock like an Umarex or something, I think they shoot pretty well out of the box. But I would avoid the Raven or Vorsk Glocks. They're both made by Nuprol, I think, and they don't think they've got many sterling reviews at all. They're not very good. And also I'd avoid the Army Armament ones probably as well. My friend had one and it just seemed a bit kind of tinny. It just wasn't that nice. But anyway, so we'll move on to the Action Army. I'll go over that for a few minutes as well and talk about that and some of the bits and bobs you can do with them, some of the bits you can get, and what I think of them as well. So 2 seconds. So this is the Action Army AAP-01. I was dubious about buying one of these because I was looking at it, and you know, you can tell by looking at it, it's supposed to be some kind of like Ruger copy, basically, some like kind of like a .22 shooting pistol, and it's a really strange look. But if you can get your head around the way it looks and the way that it just looks kind of strange. It's actually a really good pistol, and I think you like a WE Glock will probably set you back around like 100 to like £120, probably depending where you buy it. Or I bought mine second hand for like £70, and then I upgraded it, so like it wasn't as bad. But anyway, so Action Army AAP-01, we'll focus on that. These you can get them for around, I think it's around £75 to £80. I'll correct myself after if I'm wrong. But they're super cheap, and if you're a starting airsoft player and you want a secondary pistol, and you're on a budget, there's a lot of guns that are around this price point that really just aren't as good as this is for what it costs. It's all polymer, so it's a whole polymer body. I've actually added those Picatinny rails because you have to buy them separately. It's part of Action Army's massive like accessories release for the AAP-01, which I'll talk about in a second. But it's all polymer. It actually takes Glock magazines, so for those of you that are maybe sort of Glock minded, or you might recognise the magazine, and I'll just take a few shots so you can see it. So it's probably a bit louder because I've got a louder on it just now. But it's got a really short and small action, and it's very fast and snappy the way it shoots. Because it's all polymer and because you don't have a massive slide like you do on a Glock, racking back and forth every time you take a shot, it's actually very, very gas efficient. So again, relating to the budget again, if you're on a budget, and you know, sometimes green gas, or if you're buying like the red gas or the black gas, depending on what brand I use, WE, or it's like the Nuke gas, it can get quite expensive because I live in Scotland, so I use the black gas or the red if I can't get the black, for the cold temperatures. I don't know if I would use the black gas in this. I just feel like it's maybe pushing the boundaries of how strong it is. But I've used red gas in it and it's been fine, so the black gas might be okay. But going back to the point of it being polymer and the short action with the piston, really lightweight action, yeah, it's very gas efficient, which means you're not going to be spending as much money on gas probably, because you'll get more BBs per mag out of a gas fill up, as opposed to what you would get from probably a normal Glock. They also, sometimes when you're firing Glocks and you're firing them continuously, or any other sort of like metal slided guns, you get that freeze effect, and it freezes up the slide, and it starts to struggle moving the slide, because the pressure is lowering and stuff. So that's one aspect of the AAP, when you think about that. But because it's polymer, don't think that it's going to feel cheap, because it actually feels quite well put together. It feels really nice. It just feels like a Glock lower. Like a Glock lower is made out of polymer. It's obviously basically a Glock lower because it takes the mags. But I was quite impressed with the quality when I actually got it and opened up the box. I was really happy with it, especially when you consider what you pay for it. Moving on to like its accuracy, and the range. There's quite a few range test videos you can see online, and I found a really good one done by 4UAD SmartSoft. 4UAD Smart Airsoft. And they did a really good review of the pistol, like really super in depth, better than the one I'm doing just now. So you can maybe check that out. But they went into a range test with different BBs, and they showed you the effective range, and they found it to be to about 50 meters, which actually is really good for a pistol that costs this much. To be shooting to like up to 50 meters. That's a really good, super effective range to have a pistol shooting. I use 2.8s in this as well. All that I've done with it is put a maple leaf hop-up rubber in it, just to make it a bit more accurate, really. But in its stock form, it'll lift BBs like 2.8s, like 0.3s, 0.32s, and stuff like that. It's really good for a stock pistol. You wouldn't really have to do anything. I just like tinkering and messing around with stuff. On to some of the other bits that you can do with the pistol, if you're interested in customization. So you can see here I've got an adjustable CNC trigger fitted. That's an Action Army piece. I've also got the rails, and I've also just added a Loudener. It's a Novesk Fire Hog, I think it's called. Just because the stock trigger is it's got a little bit of a long pull to get to the brake. So I've got this set up so it's just, you can see my finger moving. You can see it moving a little bit and then brake. So that's something you can do. That's an Action Army part. Like I mentioned with the Glocks, you can get a carbine kit for the Glock, but with this you can get another carbine kit as well, a foldable stock which folds back like that. They also do, I suppose most holsters are proprietary for each pistol anyway, but you get a holster that's quite cool, that you don't actually slide the gun into. You just, imagine this was the holster, you just put the pistol on it like that and it clicks around the trigger guard and the trigger, and it makes it super easy to just release and pick up and start shooting with. They also do, if you don't like the polymer, they do like a CNC upper. There's loads of stuff they do that people, it's actually amazing some of the stuff that people have done with 3D printing. You can buy like you know, PDW kind of rigs to put the gun into, barrel extensions, all that kind of stuff. There's so much stuff. It's actually really ignited the community, and it's a really fun gun. One of the reasons I picked it up is because it was cheap, because you can do this as well, semi-auto and full auto. So another thing, like if you wanted semi and full auto in the same gun, you'd have to buy. There's a few pistols that do it. Like I think TM did like the Extreme 45 or something. You can buy a G18 for full auto as well, but they're quite notorious for their. I think it's the sears or the trigger unit going. If you're firing it on full auto a lot, so you need to upgrade the trigger unit and stuff like that, or the sears. So I've switched it to full auto. I'm just gonna do a few bursts real quick, just for the sake of it. So that is absolutely mental for for an airsoft pistol to fire at that rate of fire. It's like £70-80, and you can buy a pistol that does that. It's just, like, it just makes you laugh. Like, it just makes you happy inside. It's ridiculous. It's so funny. I'll put it back to semi. And by the way, to get to semi and full auto, there's a little switch in here. You pull this back, and you just switch it back. So I was talking at the start as like an overall kind of video. If you're starting airsoft and you're considering buying like a pistol, what should you get? Should you get a Glock or should you get an AAP? The answer is, I think it depends on your budget. It also depends on your taste, because not everyone is going to want an AAP-01 because it looks funky and they want to look super tactical and cool, so they want a Glock, or they want like a 1911 or something like that. The AAP-01, although it does look kind of silly, and it looks good once it's dressed up, like it looks really good once it's dressed up, but it does look kind of like a laser blaster or something, or it looks like a Ruger, which probably isn't, depends on your taste, but it's probably not the coolest looking gun ever. Despite its looks, it shoots very well. It's fully automatic and semi-automatic. It's got a whole host of aftermarket parts that Action Army themselves have designed and made. You can get a whole CNC hop unit, which is supposed to be better. CNC uppers, like metal uppers, which I want to get, and they look really cool. It takes Glock magazines, and it's very accurate and has a great effective range. The WE Glock, on the other hand, you buy it, you're probably going to have to change the hop unit unless you're happy only being able to hit people from 2 feet away, which gets really boring after a while. So you're going to have to budget for other upgrades. So if you buy a new one, let's say it's like £110, then you're basically paying £150 because you're going to want to get the maple leaf unit. If you get the full unit with the type bore and the actual gold maple leaf unit, you can buy that separately, but if you get the whole thing, that's about £45.50, I think, or you can get like 25 just the unit, and then you have to buy the little hop wheel as well, which you need because the normal one sucks in the WE. So that's maybe 25-30. So you're basically, budgeting for more when you buy a Glock. I had another WE. I had a WE Big Bird, sorry, and the hop unit sucked in that as well. Like, it just sucked, and that's just how it was. So it's maybe just a thing with some WE guns. I know some are okay, some aren't. But yeah, that was just a quick video on my personal experience. I personally love my Glock, but that's because I've put time into it to make it shoot better. I've spent money on it, and because I've spent money on it, it hasn't let me down, and it's become a really accurate sidearm, and it's trustworthy, and it's great, and it handles black gas and doesn't explode. It hasn't exploded yet. Yeah, it's cool. So that's a bit of insight from someone that owns 2 of them, what I think of them. I love both of them, but if you could only buy one, that's up to you. You're going to have to weigh up the pros and cons. I've tried to add some of my personal experience to maybe help you make up your mind. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. Hopefully this has been slightly informative. It's basically just been me kind of ranting about the AAP and the Glock. I didn't go super in depth with anything, but because, you know, it's just an overall look at them. I don't want to like tear them down. If someone wants me to tear down my Glock or make a little video about it, or show you how to disassemble AAP, whatever, I can do that as well. I'd be happy to do that. But yeah, thanks very much, guys. This has been Tactical Chris, and hope you enjoyed the video. Cheers.